Wait a second, can fish smell? Yes, they can. What the I'm Caleb Everett, and this is A Month to Master, where for the last 30 days, I've put all my effort into mastering the hobby of fishing. Well, it has officially happened. It has been 1 month. Let me walk you guys through what I've learned this week and what you might want to look into if you've made it this far in your fishing journey. First, let's talk about finesse fishing versus power fishing. Okay, let me break down the difference in a simple way. Probably too simple, actually, but we'll start there. With power fishing, you're gonna be covering a lot of water with lures that are mainly reactionary lures. I'm talking mainly about top waters, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, things like that. In this method, it's mainly about covering water as quickly as possible and aiming to get aggressive bites. With finesse fishing, you're gonna take a slower, more lifelike approach to fishing your lure. So lures that look more natural, move slower. Basically, you're trying to replicate the natural prey that a fish would go for. In this setup, you may want to look at something like a Texas rig or a Ned rig or a wacky rig, even though I hate the wacky rig. You see, you know what, it's not important, doesn't matter. Okay, that's great and all. I know the difference, but which method should I choose? Well, it really depends. Since I've talked about water temperature, clarity, and things like that in previous videos about lure selection, let's start there. With water clarity, if the water's muddy or stained, you possibly will see more success with power fishing. Whereas if the water's clear, finesse might be the way to go to present your lure as a more natural, realistic looking prey. Now, when it comes to weather, such as overcast versus bright days, it's pretty much the same as the stained versus clear example. Overcast, power fishing's probably gonna be the best, whereas on brighter days, finesse is probably gonna be the best. With water temperature, you wanna think in terms of lethargic versus active. If you don't know what I mean by that, I did mention it in a previous video, so you can go back and watch that, but essentially it boils down to this. Typically, warmer water equals more active, which will equal power fishing, whereas cooler water equals more lethargic, which should equal finesse. Now, we are about to enter into the dog days of summer, which actually means fish will be slowing down again because they're gonna be moving to deeper water. So extreme heat equals lethargic, which will equal finesse fishing as well. Ultimately, it's probably best to enter every fishing trip with the mentality that you're gonna be switching it up throughout the day. Maybe start with power fishing and then move into finesse. Or vice versa. If you notice that you're struggling to catch fish though, then it might be time to look into scent attractors or scent stimulators. Wait a second, can fish smell? Yes, they can. What the And not only can they, apparently it's their greatest sense. Okay, so apparently they can smell, but does that mean things like scent attractors and stimulators actually work? Well, it's kind of a debated topic. First, let's define the difference between a scent attractor and a scent stimulator. Attractors are a scent that is intended to cause a fish to come to the lure, whereas a stimulator is a scent that stimulates feeding. But do they work? Well, according to Big Fish, and by Big Fish I mainly mean the companies that sell these products, they do work. However, when I go into fishing forums and watch videos on YouTube, there's not an end-all be-all scent that everybody just swears by, which makes sense. No, I was dumb. Which makes sense because none of you watching YouTube right now are fish, right? And since you aren't fish, that means you can't tell us exactly what works versus what doesn't. But here's what I will say. I bought an attractor and caught nothing. Now, I'm not gonna say what attractor it was or link to it, mainly because it's not that I don't believe in the product, it's just that I don't wanna say it doesn't work and then somebody be like, it does work, or whatever. The reality is I bought it, tried it, and it never worked. Now, I will be honest, I only used it like 3 times, so I probably don't have a large enough sample size to really say whether it works or doesn't work. There's a lot of other factors that could have come into play. Could have been time of day, weather, all the other various things we've ever talked about in this series. I will say though, my verdict is that I don't believe an attractor or a stimulator is gonna become part of my regular fishing arsenal. Not that they don't work, I don't know. I don't have enough hard data to say whether whether they do or don't. But just for me, I'm not fully bought in. However, if you think I'm wrong, or if you think there is an attractor or stimulate that you've used that you're like, man, I swear by it, it works every time, please let me know in the comments down below and I will be happy to check it out. Now, if you're getting into fishing and you find yourself catching more and more fish, there's one topic that I do think we need to talk about, and that is reviving a fish. In honor of being a good sportsman when it comes to fishing, if you're fishing a catch and release pond or you're just fishing for the sport of it, please, please, please learn how to revive a fish. It happens. You caught a fish and maybe it took you longer than you expected to get the hook out, or you're messing around, you're trying to take photos of the fish, you do all this stuff, you finally get the hook out, you get all the photos, you go to put them in the water and, well, nothing happens. The reality is, if you fish long enough, this is bound to happen. Now, for me, the simplest way that I've learned to revive a fish is simply by holding their bottom lip and swimming them around in a figure 8 motion in the water. I've attached the link in the description down below to a video by Bass Resources. Well, that's not really their name. It's a really, really long name, but I'm not gonna try to say it all because I can't remember it. But check out this video down here. I urge anybody who's gonna be fishing, or if you've been fishing a lot, watch that video. They do a fantastic job explaining the process. I know I'm kind of glossing over this section, but the reality is I'm not a veterinarian, I'm not a fish doctor or anything like that, so I don't wanna give you advice on something when it comes to the welfare of an animal that may be incorrect, but that's why I would urge you to watch videos, read about it, learn as much as you can about reviving a fish, because if you catch a large fish in a pond that's catch and release and you want to continue to catch even bigger fish, you need to put that fish back in the water so that it can continue to populate that pond, lake, whatever it is. Now, let's just imagine for a second that you're catching so many fish that reviving a fish becomes second nature. Well then, if you're doing that much fishing, it's probably pretty important to talk about gear maintenance. This is another topic that I'm not gonna go too deep into, mainly because there's so many variables when it comes to your specific equipment, but there are two things that I really wanna talk about. Number one is taking care of your rod. We're better than that.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
Now, this isn't something you have to do every time you go fishing. Honestly, it's probably not even something you have to do at the end of every season. These are just tips if you do want to maintain healthy gear throughout the lifetime of your fishing. And these things mainly are going to be clean the guides, clean the handles and mounting hardware, and store them properly. For cleaning them, I would suggest just a light pressure wash with water. After the rinsing, I would then wipe it down with a lubricating oil. The second thing is taking care of your reel. The same cleaning method for the rod applies to the reel as well. After I cleaned them off with everything, I would consider investing in some reel coverings. But I think the most important aspect of rod and reel protection is proper rod storage, much like the rod holders that I have mounted right here. I really wanted to do a section on repairing rod tips as well. However, I don't have any broken rod tips, and I've called people and nobody I know has any broken rod tips. And to be honest with you guys, I'm kind of cheap, so I'm not gonna just intentionally break a rod tip just to show you. However, there are plenty of YouTube videos out there that will show you how to repair a rod tip if your rod tip breaks. But I will say that replacing a rod tip is probably something that will eventually happen in your fishing career. Learn how to do it, but at the same time, also prepare yourself that eventually you're gonna need to replace your rods as well. They're not gonna last forever, so be prepared for that down the road eventually. I will link a video down below from Wendell Fishing that shows a technique for fixing a broken rod tip. I think it's a great video and the information is just super smart. I know it can be strange that I'm putting links to other people's videos and channels in my description, but when it comes to being a great fisherman, these are reliable places to get tips about fishing. One thing I've really learned over the last 30 days is to be better at fishing, well, to be better at anything. It's important to know where to get reliable information. Now, I'm not gonna go over every page and channel that I've watched, but I am gonna list every YouTube channel I watched over the last 30 days that helped me get me to where I am today. You don't have to watch them, but they were super helpful to me, and I do think that all of these channels definitely hold value. Beyond those channels, my biggest recommendations would be Google, obviously, fishing forums like Bass Resource or Reddit, and YouTube, right here where I'm at. YouTube is a vast area full of tons of knowledge for you to soak up. Again, the links to the YouTube channels that I've been watching, I'll list them down below in the description. Then the other really big one is gonna be your local bait shops. Get to know the people in there, go in there, talk to them. They should be the most knowledgeable person in the area with the water that you're about to fish. Now, this tip is especially important if you're fishing an area that you've never fished before. If you're going on a fishing trip or something like that and you just don't know the water, you don't know the area, talk to your local bait shop. They're gonna have the most knowledge that you can get. But the biggest thing possibly that I've learned over the last 30 days is that familiarity breeds success. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Create habits that will set you up for success. Locate fishing spots close to your home or your work and fish them regularly. Keep your eyes and ears open every time you visit. Notice the birds, where are they hanging out? Notice the flora and the fauna that are in the area. Are there worms? Are there frogs? Things like this. These are things you need to learn and pay attention to. Take note of the fish that you catch. What did they bite on? Where was the fish? What was the water like? The weather. Every fish you catch helps complete the puzzle. Fishing a place regularly and throughout the seasons helps you become a better angler. When I started this journey, it was about becoming a master of fishing. And I know I mentioned before that my biggest thing was sticking to the lakes and rivers that I'm used to, which when I started this whole journey, that was actually just a joke in the video. However, after learning more and more about this stuff, I realize now how truly important that really is. All the things I've learned will definitely translate into me being proficient almost anywhere if I'm fishing for bass. Am I a master though? That's the question I will answer next week. So if you guys would like, subscribe, comment, those things do help me with the YouTube algorithm. And be sure to tune in next week when I break down whether or not I believe I've mastered the art of fishing and why or why not. Until then, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. All the likes, all the comments, they've meant the world to me. Thank you so much. Until then, guys, I hope you have an awesome weekend and thanks for watching.